So where are you at right now?
I'm based in Berlin.
Okay.
So I'm originally from Australia, but I've been living in Berlin for the last 7 years.
Okay. I could tell by the accent. I was like, yeah, that doesn't sound German.
You never know. I might be picking up a little bit of the German accent, but it's
Okay.
not come
Okay. Yeah.
through.
How long have you been in Berlin?
7 years in Berlin now. Yeah, so I
7.
live with my partner. Yeah, she's from Berlin, and so I kind of moved over, and we live together here in Berlin.
Congrats, man. So you're like a traveling entrepreneur yourself, bit of a nomad.
A little bit, yeah. I have traveled around a bit. I used to live in England for a few years as well when I first left Australia, and then I lived in Poland for a year. So I've been
Wow.
around a little bit. I'm
Okay.
settled
Well,
now.
good for you,
It's
man.
been an
What?
interesting experience, and it's interesting
Yeah,
to see the way different countries do things as well. You'd be
it is.
surprised. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I spent about 4 years traveling Southeast Asia, and I met my wife there. I met her in Korea, and so
mhm.
yeah, I hear you. It's really really good for the soul, man, to travel and see different cultures and how people live. It's an eye opener, isn't it?
Definitely, definitely. So Korea's that's a very different place as well. Must have been
Very different.
interesting.
Yeah, very very different from the West. So, but you know what? They're a really extraordinary culture. Really are. I mean, Um, they sort of picked themselves up out of the ashes, and they've had independence for only like 80 plus years now. It hasn't even been that long. They were ran by Japan. Japan colonized there for a long time, and they got their freedom. So yeah, man. Then now they're like, they're tech giants, they're telecom giants. They've got some of the fastest internet speeds in the world. They're
Hmm.
exporting some of the most amazing tech, not to mention Korean pop. So well, I would love to kick off by just um, sort of summarizing what we're going to talk about, okay? In this podcast. We're going to spend like the next 30 minutes uh, talking about a couple different subjects. That is entrepreneurship, and then technology, right? And we may even talk a little more about travel. So let's dive in, man. I've got a bit of an opener here. So I was just looking at your LinkedIn profile, and you've been in data science. You've been a data scientist since 2012, maybe even further back than that. Um, and then in 2022, earlier this year, you co-founded Scenery.io. And so we're gonna definitely talk about Scenery. That's actually how I discovered you. Um,
Mhm.
there was a gentleman. I don't know if you know of him, but on LinkedIn, he's a bit of an influencer, a content creator. His name is Alex B. Jordan, and he put out a post talking about content creation, and then he used Scenery to do his LinkedIn post. And I was like, man, I'm actually right now thinking about a software that I can use to do the same. I need to get serious about my content strategy. Still do, but definitely further along than I was. So I opened up a Scenery account, and then all kinds of awesome features, man, which we're going to talk about. As an agency owner, a marketing agency owner, it's really helpful. Um, so we'll get into that.
Awesome,
Um,
great.
yeah, man. And I'd love to talk about the journey, of how you decided you wanted to found Seamly, the process, and then like I'd love to know like kind of where you want to go in the next 5 years, where you see the company in the next 5 years. And so yeah, man, it's going to be entrepreneurship and a bit of technology. It's totally okay to become nerds in this in this podcast and geek out about technology. So um, yeah,
Sounds
man, let's
good.
let's dive in. So tell me, yeah, man, how you started your journey in data science.
Well, I guess it's an interesting question because when I started in data science, it wasn't quite so popular. So nowadays, it's a bit of a hype buzzword.
Yeah,
But back then, it was, I guess, that side of the industry was just starting. Of course, there was a lot of statistics and data being done beforehand, but this word data science was really taking off around that time. Um, Myself, I have a background in engineering. So I did an engineering degree when I was in Australia. And I worked about a year as an engineer in Perth, where I'm from, before moving to England originally. Then when I got to London, I mean, there's no factories in the center of London. It didn't really fit with my lifestyle at that point in my life. So I was kind of just looking for something interesting. And I saw a lot of jobs advertising for data scientists, or actually data analysts back then. And I just thought it sounded really interesting. And I was kind of curious to see if I could give it a go, given the kind of math and science background from my degree. And yeah, so I just tried it out and I really, really enjoyed it. It's especially data analytics, it's a little bit like doing detective work, I guess. You have to kind of pick up clues and evidence and follow that to its logical conclusion, solve puzzles. So I found that really interesting work. And then it just grew and grew from there. I worked maybe 2 or 3 years as a data analyst slash data scientist in England.
Mhm.
And then I've also been working as a data scientist for a couple of companies in Germany. First one
Okay.
was like business, sales, and marketing. So I really
Yeah.
got data from that side of things. And that's kind of where I got this experience with social media management. I saw a lot of that in my company. And then most recently, I'm working for a healthcare company, for Fresenius, who are actually also in the United States. And I'm heading the data operation there. So, like I say, I just kind of grew into this position and I really enjoyed it. I picked up lots of experiences along the way.
Mhm.
It was certainly a lot easier to get into back then, 10 years ago.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely evolved in the last 10 years, hasn't it?
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Okay, great, man. Um, well, we can sort of jump right into this. I'm actually really interested in hearing about this transition from being an employee, right, working for another company, and then starting a company at the same time. I think this is actually really, really interesting, and I'd love to get right into the detail of that entrepreneur part of that, of like starting a side hustle, right? Because I'm assuming you're still employed, right? And so a lot of people think about entrepreneurship as taking a leap of faith, right? And just jumping from leaving their job and starting a company, right? And so I'd love to hear your take on that. And from what I can tell, you're doing both, and I think that's intelligent. But I'd love to hear that from you and how that's been going.
Yeah, absolutely. So as a bit of background, Scenery is a completely bootstrapped company. So
Well,
we haven't
awesome.
taken outside investment. It was actually the idea came from my co-founder. His name's Ryan Wiley. He's a fantastic software developer, and his partner is actually in the social media marketing industry. So he was hearing some thoughts or complaints from her about where they were kind of missing a tool set. So there are other social media management tools and
Yeah.
social media schedulers, but there might have been a gap in the market. So he kind of set out to build this software, and he's the one who started the whole thing. And really, I got involved when he was looking for some additional support on the data side. So yeah, as I said, my background is in data science, machine learning, and he wanted to bring some of those capabilities in analytics and AI into the service. And this is when I started thinking about joining. But kind of back to your more immediate question, I think the fact that we are bootstrapped defines a lot of the decisions that we make. Because obviously, if you go out and look for investment, it's a different way of doing things. You have the opportunity just to jump in and sacrifice everything else in your life. But I think we wanted to do things in a slow and steady and profitable way where we also maintain some control of the decisions. It was
Yeah.
always really important for us to be able to work together as a unit because we're really good friends anyway, and just see if we can build something. We're more interested in the process of building something rather than, a get rich quick scheme or anything
Yeah.
like that.
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah. And and just for the audience, like I want to go ahead and read um, directly from your LinkedIn company page, just like as a plug for Seamly. All right, so Seamly.io is an auto-publishing scheduler and engagement platform for LinkedIn and other top social networks. Founded initially as a LinkedIn-focused content scheduler, Seamly has quickly grown to be the social media marketing platform of choice for LinkedIn trainers, professionals, and businesses. We believe in and have seen the power of network connections, job opportunities, and personal and business brand enhancements through LinkedIn. Sealy helps your LinkedIn posts, profile, and page get seen. Our features focus on smart scheduling, direct tagging, native video posts, hashtags, and content suggestions coupled with powerful analytics. I love it, man. I love it. Yeah. So tell us how it's been going for the first 6 months in business. What has been some wins, some struggles?
So yeah, we launched in March. That was when we
Yeah.
officially website, and it's kind of been slow and consistent growth from then. So
Yeah.
probably I would say the biggest win for us, and we always had it in mind to do it, was to really kind of narrow in on a target market. And we spent the first few months at least really just talking to a lot of people on LinkedIn. So we were actually just kind of cold messaging them and saying, look, this is what we're building. Is this useful for you? If so, why? Like,
Mm,
what features would you like to see in it? And from there, we kind of narrowed in on a product that seems to work for a lot of people. And this is how we got to this LinkedIn focus. We were talking to a lot of content writers, entrepreneurs, people in sales and marketing, and they were telling us, look, the other scheduling applications, they kind of neglect LinkedIn. The focus is
nice.
more on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, but
Yeah.
LinkedIn is a little. So I'd say that was a big win for us at first. It was really finding a market fit. And then that kind of led to our first few customers, and we really started to see the growth go from there.
Fantastic, man. Um, right now, are you guys just like really focused on subscribers and just getting more people in, or are you focused on iterating and thinking about your next, your next update?
Yeah, we're definitely updating the feature set. So it's a bit of both, actually.
Okay.
It's myself and my co-founder, and he's working on the features.
Yep.
Kind of usually we're always in contact with people in the market, trying to think about what might be the next go-to feature.
Yep.
At the same time, I've taken up a little bit more responsibility on the sales and marketing side. So I'm really trying
Mm,
to just get eyeballs onto our product basically and get more
yes.
more people trying it and using it, and everything that entails. So yeah, we're kind of coming at it from two angles. And you asked as well about what is the most difficult part or
Yep.
failure. I would say from my perspective, like I said, bootstrapping, there's advantages and disadvantages, and the disadvantage is that you have to build on your own growth, right? So it's kind of
Yep.
slow, steady improvement. And that's something not unexpected, but yeah, we really see that as we move.
Absolutely. Who has been you mentioned that you've spoken to several different groups of people. You feel like the product is good for quite a few. What specific group of people, if I ask, are you guys getting like really good feedback from?
Our product is targeted more towards people who use LinkedIn heavily. So that could
Okay.
be
Okay.
LinkedIn trainers,
Yep.
LinkedIn content writers, ghost writers, so people who manage multiple accounts from the background. Also people who run small businesses. So there's a lot of people who they want to develop their social media brand, but they don't really have the time to do so.
Mhm.
And a lot of these people, the thing that's in common is that they tend to spend a lot of their time on LinkedIn. They're really building professional services, so they tend to be more LinkedIn focused.
Yeah.
So they were coming to us and saying, look, why is there no scheduling tool that has tagging, for example?
Yeah.
Why can't I schedule native video on the platform? Why do I have to pick the exact time when I want to do a post? Why can't we have some smart system that does it for me so I can just make it, set it, and forget it? So that's kind of how we developed into this LinkedIn focus. And people who are regularly using LinkedIn, especially in more small businesses, that's kind of our focus.
Okay. Yeah, man. Some of the features that I can tell you personally because I have it open right now and I'm looking at my account. So first of all, as an agency owner, that you can have multiple accounts under one login. That's a big deal. That's like
Mhm.
awesome. You can just switch. Another big one is so I'm not going to name the service, but there's another service that I use for subtitles and content creation, um, and they only allow a certain amount of video upload, right? So if you want to post directly from that software, they only allow a certain amount of video upload. And it's like 30 megs or something, which is like, dude, it's, like even like a 15-second video, like a 15-second like short video, is going to be like 80 meg, right? Like depending on the format or the, the quality. But and so far on Seamly IO, I haven't noticed like a video upload limit. I haven't hit that yet, which has been amazing. So all of my videos are like somewhere between 50 and 80 meg, and that's not been an issue yet. That's a big deal. So those two features alone are already like winners for me. That's awesome, man. So clearly, you guys are solving real problems that we're having out here.
Yeah, that's kind of the plan. We really do rely on the feedback from people who are regular LinkedIn users. So every time I have these conversations with people, they're saying, what about this feature? What about this feature? And it really does roll back into our development roadmap. We kind of, we have to balance things because we're a small team, but we do use the feedback.
Great. Yeah, another thing I noticed is that, so I have my personal account, I have my business account, LinkedIn account on there. And then recently I added my podcast as a separate, business page on LinkedIn, and it automatically populated right here on the dashboard, which was like, oh, I just logged in this morning and it just showed up. So it just makes things super easy. And then I would say definitely the scheduling is a big deal, and of course the tagging. So yeah, you guys have got an amazing start in just the first, less than a year, like 6 to 8 months or something, 6 to 9 months.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Doing awesome, man. Great. So yeah, where do you see Seamly IO in, like, let's say maybe 5 years out is quite a bit, but I know as a startup, you're constantly iterating, getting, you have that feedback loop. And so I'm just curious where you see it, let's say in the next 24 months.
We want to develop the service in two main areas. So of course, there are the scheduling related features that will be continuously improved, no doubt about that.
Yep.
Two main areas we want to go in, they are content generation and analytics. So we're going to be rolling out an analytics platform.
Nice.
Well, I hope next week, actually, and that's going to have workspace level analytics. And we really wanted to lean into that because one of the hard things about building a brand on LinkedIn is that they have this algorithm that's very opaque and it's very hard to manage, right?
Yep.
So we want to support people with that, provide tools to make it a bit easier to know when to post, what to post, how frequently to post, all this type of stuff that you experience for.
And be able to see how content's performing, so on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like you can go back and look at your posts and see which ones are doing well, see which ones not doing so well. So it allows you to change tack, and we'll try to provide some kind of smart AI type tools so that helps you along in the process there as well. And then the next big thing which will come will be content generation space. So I'm really excited about this area generally. Content generation for images and text and video. In the last year, the machine learning tools to support this have exploded. So we really that.
I love it, man. Okay, well, I'm excited to see the features, man. Feel free to sign me up on the on the beta, whatever you're gonna roll out.
Definitely. More than welcome.
So great. Let's get into a little bit of the entrepreneur side. Again, and I don't want to get too personal, but like whatever you feel like you want to share. Some of the most difficult things that you found in being an entrepreneur, having a startup. Tell us like a really big win, and it doesn't have to just be with Seamly IO. It could be with anything, but just a big win, a big loss. Something that we can all relate to. Well,
I can definitely tell you what the hardest thing is and where the biggest challenges are for me.
That always comes to mind first, right? It's the painful stuff. Yeah,
I have a data background. I'm a technical guy by nature. So, all of my jobs so far have been really focused on problem solving. And co-founder, he's the same. He's a software developer by nature. And so I've really been like, just by necessity, I have to get out and do sales and marketing. And I definitely won't doubt these people ever again. It's a really tough job. It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't come naturally to me, and I've been like leaning into it, giving it my best,
Yep.
working on it, but it's hard, It's
Yeah,
I'm not sure if I have a natural skill for this. And I think that's probably one of the biggest takeaways for me about starting a small business so far. It's that you just become this complete all-rounder, like when you work in a corporate job, you're in a pretty narrow lane of the business and you can just
that's right.
focus. But
That's
starting your
right.
own business, you just have to do a bit of everything.
Yeah, yeah. It's easy to it really magnifies the skill set that you need to work on, right? Or that you lack. So, yeah. Which have you found to be more difficult? The like behind the scenes marketing or the front facing, you know, people facing sales? Which one seems to be more difficult for you?
People facing sales for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah, I had only a little bit of experience with this. So when I was at university, I used to work in a call center. So I was not completely new to this, but
yeah,
hard, right? And if you don't have a dedicated sales team or anything,
yeah,
doing social outreach is quite time consuming and you can have a
yeah,
lot of
yeah,
um, failures before you have a success. Like not everyone's going to buy your product. That's totally natural. And you need
for
to
sure.
work through this. So for me personally, that was the hardest thing. On
Yeah,
the marketing side, there's also all the stuff around like website SEO, search engine optimization. Again, completely new area to me. Just got to pick it up, figure it out as you go. So all that
yeah,
stuff, it's fun, but it's also pretty challenging too.
yeah, yeah. Love it. Do you have any mentors or any books that you'd like to recommend to the audience in terms of entrepreneurship and startups and working with a co-founder and things like that?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not really a massive business book reader, like the type of stuff you get in the
Yep,
airport. I have a couple of guys here in Berlin that I speak to who run their own businesses, so that's
yep,
pretty handy.
yeah,
And so my former company here in Berlin, the consultancy I worked for, they had a bit of experience with social media management and marketing, sales. So if I can, I try to lean on some of my friends in those organizations.
yeah, yeah. Um, here's a kind of a question I have to backpedal a little bit on the entrepreneurship side. Um, when do you feel would be the time that you could exit your current job and take on Seamley full time? Do you think is there like a tipping point for you there?
Well, it comes down to profitability, but to be totally honest with you, I actually really like my day job too. So
Yeah,
I work for a healthcare company, and in that particular role, I get the opportunity to do some data science that has a positive impact on people's lives.
yeah,
So I quite like this. I would be
yeah.
very hesitant.
That's a really good point. That's actually such a an interesting take. And again, I just want to go back to what I had originally mentioned. The way that people see entrepreneurship is this idea of just like jumping ship and taking the leap. And I've had a lot of people ask me just like, hey, what would be the first step to starting a business? Like, I don't know the first thing to do. And I guess I'd have to go get a loan. I'm like, what? No, you don't start. You don't have to start with getting a loan. That's not like, oh my God, start with huge debt. No, no way. No, bootstrapping is the way to go. And with a software product, like the first thing you want to do is go ask the market what they want, and then you can come back and start creating that thing, right? And then turn around and create a feedback loop so that you can constantly iterate and update according to the market to make sure you got it right, to make sure that things haven't changed in the last 6 months. So it's like, um, so I love the idea that you are an entrepreneur. You've got a software product, but you're like, you know what? I'm not thinking about switching it up anytime soon. I'm thinking about quitting my job. I have a friend here. I'm in Colorado, Denver, Colorado, and I've got a friend here. He owns an accelerator, and an accelerator is. He deals with startups and funding all the time.
Mhm.
And he said that one of the smartest things you can do is keep your day job while you're starting your company, because your day job will fund your startup. You know what I mean?
True.
So it'll fund the startup. It's intelligent, and so it's it's like a shift in your thinking. Most people don't consider such a thing, and that's why a lot of people don't get started. I think is because they think it requires them to go broke and live on ramen and you know and so that may be the case. Maybe you're taking a lot of your money and putting it toward the product, but I don't think it has to be one or the other. I think it could be both. It could be a balance. So that's great, man. I was actually really impressed to learn that about you. I was looking at your LinkedIn and I thought, oh, this guy has a full-time job and he's got this thing on the side. So it's like a side hustle, but it's gonna grow. So I mean, I wish the best for you, man. I hope that Seamly IO blows up and that you guys like exceed your profit goals and that you guys get more publicity, more PR. I'm not like popular by any means, but I'll absolutely post it. And by the way, man, so the content that comes out of this podcast, I'll be cutting a bunch of short form video, and I'll be sending those to you, that you can use those anywhere, any way that you'd like. Yeah, man. So anything that you'd like to mention before we finish up the podcast today?
Nothing in particular, but thanks very much for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. It's
Yeah.
been really nice chatting to you and meeting you in person as well, because we'd only talked via Messenger before
Yes.
this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm one of your members, your clients. So I'll be using the product, man, and I'll be punching that support ticket button with feedback. No, I won't bug you. Awesome, Aaron. Well, it's been a pleasure, man. And I'll definitely continue following you and the company on LinkedIn, and let's stay in touch, my friend.
Yeah, thanks again. And I'll make sure to let you in on any of our beta offerings coming soon.
Love it, love it. All right, man. Sounds
All
good.
right.
We'll talk very
See you
soon.
later, Evan.
All
Thanks
right,
very
buddy.
much.
Later.